Welcome to this next episode of Clinically Pressed. This is a very different episode from ones that we've done in the past, but an extremely powerful one. We were able to meet up with Cogen Nelson when we were down at the CrossFit Games hanging out with the Pauls of Paragon Fitness this past summer. I got to hear Cogen's story, and it was really incredible. We wanted to release this one right in line with Veterans Day, as Cogen is a veteran and is doing a tremendous amount of work and some really inspiring stuff to help veterans who are dealing with things that when they come back that don't always get seen on the physical side, and some of the other things that can go on with having served and other issues that they need help working with, and Cogen is on the forefront of helping out with that. And that ties right in with Paragon Nutrition and their support and utilizing the products that they've come out with to help. Cogen touches on that a little bit in this episode, and it's extremely powerful information when it comes to that, but also just the story of how Cogen has gone through his own struggles and the power of people and sticking together, and then also getting into movement and how CrossFit helped bring Cogen back, as he pretty much describes it. It really is a moving thing, and we really highly suggest listening to this one just because it is something that is kind of eye-opening and kind of changed our view on a lot of things. It was really powerful. So with that, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Please check out Paragon Fitness and Nutrition. When you check out, use code CP15 for 15% off. Love to hear people's thoughts on this. Comment on YouTube or wherever we get it posted at. And with that, enjoy this episode.
Well, we're here in Cottage Grove, Wisconsin with Marine Sergeant Cogen Nelson, Paul Janzer, special guest host, Joel and myself, special guest host Andy Askow, ×3 now for guest hosting.
Oh, I thought you meant size-wise.
No,
That'd be 4.
That's where I thought you
just
were
the
going.
heart.
4X.
That's where your heart is. But yeah, Purple Heart, war vet, Marine Sergeant, 32 years old. And stop me if I mess something up here. You were deployed multiple times, and you were injured in the back of a vehicle when it struck an IED. Aftermath was not immediate, but eventually you required to spend time with a wounded warrior battalion. You sought treatment for a TBI, PTSD, depression, and numerous other physical ailments. And you mentioned not just physical, but the things that you can't physically see, and sometimes that I'm sure is almost more challenging.
Yeah, the invisible wounds, we call them, definitely more challenging sometimes than the physical ones.
Can't imagine. So, needless to say, you had a lot of days with dark rooms, medicine, very little social interaction. And I can't imagine some dark places. And you said you've come a long ways, and I only know you from what I've met from you today, and these fellows as well. So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of the journey you've been on up until now. You own the House of CrossFit in Carlsbad, California, and live and train in Marquette, Michigan.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so after all that happened, I kind of thought stuff was going wrong, like I didn't feel the same, didn't really act the same, the physical stuff was there, but like you go and you have like the surgeries, or you go to physical therapy and you get over it, and you go back, and then, but the mental stuff, the stuff you couldn't see, like you're like, well, I used to be social, but now I'm not social, and then you're like, somebody will ask you a question, like, oh, don't you remember like in 5th or 6th grade when you did this, or this? And I'm like, no, I don't really remember a lot of my childhood anymore. And it was just stuff like that, and it was building up, and then I was on a workup with one of my units for another deployment that we were going on, and then something just like kind of snapped, and I froze, and I knew right then, I was like, something's definitely not right, and I need to get some help. So I started getting help, seeing a neurologist, seeing a psychologist, different kinds of doctors. Once they started bringing up what was going on, everything came to the surface, and it got really dark there for a really long time. I used to every night needed to drink like a 5th of Crown and just to go to sleep. Didn't really want to hang out with anybody, just wanted to stay in the room, like not do anything. It was dark. Wondered, if I should still be alive, question myself, oh, it should have been me that was killed. Or, you question, like, the decisions that you made over there, like, oh, did I need to take that shot? Did I need to do that? Type of stuff. And then it just replays in your head over and over and over. And my biggest thing is, like, I thought I was alone, so I thought, like, I was looking at everybody I deployed with, everybody that I was friends with, and I was like, they don't have problems, like, why am I having problems, like, why am I the only one like this? So I thought I was alone, so I just completely shut down, pushed everyone away, lost a lot of close friends, all that stuff,
Wow. And then you found CrossFit, and that's
so I went to a specialty clinic in Bethesda, Maryland, NICO, and it's where they send some of the worst case traumatic brain injury coupled with PTSD patients that the Armed Forces has. So I went there, and right before I went there, one of my buddies, he was kind of a platoon sergeant at Wounded Warrior Battalion, so he was kind of in charge of making sure we went to our appointments and did all that stuff and made sure we didn't do anything stupid. And we became really close. And he just told me one day, he was like, hey, you're getting up off this couch and you're coming to work out with me. And I fought him tooth and nail, but I went, And he was like, we're going to go through this, like, workout of the day. He was like, it'd be really easy, whatever. He was like, yeah, this stuff's like CrossFit. And I was like, CrossFit, whatever. Whatever this is. Like, I played college football. Like, I've been in the Marine Corps. I know how to work out. Whatever. Man, that thing, whatever, I can't tell you what we did, but it had me laid out on my back. And, like, I couldn't even really do anything. Really. Like, I couldn't do, like, burpees or squats and all that stuff because of all the stuff I had going on. But he totally modified and scaled it just like you can with CrossFit. You can modify and scale everything to anyone's ability. Man, like I said, it had me laying on my back. So I was like, dude, we gotta do this again. And I was like, I'm going to NICO next week. And he was like, dude, like, let me like help you out. Like, CrossFit's this awesome like community thing. He's like, there's got to be like a CrossFit box you can go to around there, you know. So he contacted CrossFit Bethesda, told them like what was going on with me. I called them, talked to them, told them what's going on, and they were like, yeah, come train. So the like 3 months I was in Bethesda, they let me come there free and train. And
that's awesome. So,
yeah. So it's been a long journey. I think if I showed you pictures of me right now starting CrossFit, before CrossFit, and like now, you'd probably be like, whoa. You know, I was like pushing 250.
Oh wow. No
Wow.
kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I kid you not, when like I would wake up, go sit on the couch, and I wouldn't move. Like, it got, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it got so bad, like sometimes, like one time I remember, I think I pretty much peed my pants because I forgot, like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, you know? It gets like to be like that point.
Jeez.
Like, you
Wow.
forget to shower.
Jeez.
Sometimes you forget to eat, you know, and then other times you like can't stop eating, you know. Yeah,
So it's just
crazy
highs
ride.
and lows.
Yeah,
Just like a roller
total
coaster.
like highs and lows. One day you'll feel like, oh man, like I'm getting on top of this. Like I kicked this PTSD in the butt. Like it's not gonna take me out, you know. The next day, like you have a gun in your mouth and you're like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. So, yeah, it's crazy, you know, like, and it gets hard. It gets hard, like, even today, so I was, like, saying, like, I was pushing 250. Today I'm, like, 178, 180, doing stuff I thought I could never do, or never be able to do, and doing stuff that I was told I would never be able to do. Yeah, it's just crazy to think about, like, where I come from to now, and then, like, still dealing with stuff, you know. It's just not as bad. So, yeah.
Wow.
So now that you've
think
kind of, sorry, go ahead.
No, keep talking. I'm going to find that picture for
Okay,
you. I'm going to show you, like, a progression.
that'll be sweet. Now that you kind of not come all the way through it, you're still dealing with things you said, but you've been through kind of the meat of it, from what it seems like. What kind of advice would you have for somebody enlisted who's thinking, they're sitting in their room thinking they're alone, not able to find anyone to talk to or even willing to talk to anybody? What would be your advice for somebody like that?
So, you said it right there. Like, you hit the nail on the head. Like, you're not, like, I would tell them, like, you are not alone. Like, and that's the biggest thing, is everyone thinks they're alone. They all think that they're the only ones going through this. Like, they're like, man, like, I'm messed up in the head. Like, I can't believe I'm thinking this way, or, like, I don't, like, they just, like, you think you're completely alone and no one else is going through what you're going through. And, like, my biggest thing is I tell people is you're not. Like, people have gone through it, going through it, gonna go through it, you know? And I talk to a lot of people lately, not just in the armed service community, but first responders, you know? Paramedics, firemen, police officers, you know, they see what we saw in their own backyard, you know. So in our small community in Marquette, I know a bunch of them personally. And I talk to them all the time, you know, about the stuff they see, stuff that they've been through, and just let them know, like, hey, man, like, you're not by yourself, you know. So that's the biggest thing. If someone out there is dealing with depression or PTSD or thoughts of suicide, like, you're not the only one that's thinking it or going through it. You know, and that there is actual people that care about you. So,
do you still have a support group then that you stay in touch with today, or is that kind of your CrossFit community that is your support?
I definitely rely on, like, the CrossFit community. You know, the community that I created at my gym in California, a lot of those people I'm still really good friends with. The CrossFit community I have at CrossFit Marquette, it's awesome. The small community of Marquette and the surrounding areas are totally awesome. But the bonds that you've created in the military, like, will never be broken. And there's a lot of guys that I served with and that I've met going through different functions that I didn't serve with, but, you know, we're still Marines or any armed service going through the same thing. Like, we'll text each other every now and then and be like, out of the blue, like, hey, how you doing? You know, just checking in, you know, because you never know, like, is that random text message gonna help somebody?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
So I don't want to get too political. Well, it's a touchy subject
For sure.
Among all enlisted men.
yeah.
But do you think, it's kind of a sidewinder, but do you think, like, the U.S. military as a whole is doing enough? Are they changing with the times now that these disorders and these ways of thinking are coming to light a lot more often? And I mean, back when my cousin came home, nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
And he diagnosed PTSD, 100% disabled.
Yep.
And I got to witness firsthand some of the things, like guns and some of the things that almost happened.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't. But now I feel like, just as an outsider looking in, it's becoming more and more to light.
Mm-hmm.
More people are shedding light on the topic. Do you feel like there's more that could be done, or do you feel like they're starting to change with the times a little bit? Or is it a little both?
Yeah, that's like... So going through the same thing as, like, your cousin, 100% PTSD, disabled, all that stuff. Like, I can, like, I would love to say, like, they're doing so much more, you know, and they are doing more, you know, like when he came back and when I came back, it was kind of like this, like, nah, like, we're gonna sweep it under the rug, you're fine. Like, it was like, when you come back from deployment, you fill out these, like, questionnaires, you know, like, did you see this? Did you see that? Did you go through this? Did you go through that? And are you feeling symptoms of this? Blah, 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 blah. But you're, like, so rushed and forced through that stuff, like, just mark no on everything, you know? So, like, you get in and you get out, boom, you know? Because, I mean, back when the war was heavy, it was, like, about, like, getting in, getting out, getting back in, you know? Like, I think nowadays it's definitely more mainstream, you know?
That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah. People are more aware of it, but I think it's still something people are struggling with on how to deal with it and how to successfully treat it. Especially with someone that suffers from PTSD and a traumatic brain injury at the same time. And I say this out of experience because I had two doctors, a neurologist and a psychologist, right? Neurologist for the traumatic brain injury, psychologist for the PTSD. Well, the neurologist would always say, well, I can't treat you until your PTSD gets better. And my psychologist used to tell me, well, I can't treat you until you fix your TBI. Well,
Jesus.
and here I am in the middle. Can you imagine how like frustrated and helpless you feel? Like, yeah, man. I think between those two doctors and like another doctor, they had me on like 14, 15 different medications. You know, like, and they wouldn't like work together. So, I think they've been doing some research studies with people with both and finding successful ways to handle both, you know, because one feeds into the other. You know, it's not one.
Definitely.
It's not the PTSD is causing the brain injury, or the brain injury is causing the PTSD. You know, they both play hand in hand, and they both amplify and ramp up each other. You know, and you need to treat both at the same time to come back to like a good medium, you know.
I was listening to Joe Rogan. I think it was Dr. Mark Gordon. He's an endocrinologist, and he started doing a lot of stuff with military and traumatic brain injury and looking at strictly hormones. It was his focus, and just finding out how many, especially with military or anybody with them, were just so off. And once they were helped to restore basic endocrine levels and function, symptoms got better, you know, with the traumatic brain injury, and then they saw improvement kind of across the board when it was multifaceted. But he was looking strictly at the hormone part of it, not even the rest of it.
If I remember the episode correctly, it was something with the shock blast or the brain injury disrupting the pituitary and the ability to release hormones properly.
So that blast that I was in actually caused a cyst on my pituitary gland.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So-
jeez.
Yeah. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy how, you know, what this
spirals
stuff
out of control.
yeah, it does to you, you know, and you know, you have that coupled with you know, hormone imbalance and
On so many levels with all those different hormones that the pituitary controls too. That's incredible.
yeah, and then I mean, I even noticed it
We also learned how to not get
like
drunk. Glutathione.
today. You know, it's really hard at times to recover from some workouts, you know, like you know, because the pituitary controls testosterone, GHD, or growth hormone, like all that stuff, you know. So like if it's not producing enough, you're gonna totally tank, you know.
Yeah, right.
Take a little bit extra time to come back from the workout.
Yeah. You know, that's where a good company like Paragon comes in.
Yeah, we know some of those guys.
Yeah, I had
We've been trying to work with them.
Pretty bad head injury from snatching in 2013 and was on 2 weeks of bed rest. Took a snatch to the face. My recovery after that was just garbage.
Yeah.
And it disrupts everything. You know, I couldn't going to work was difficult. It was you know, the mental fatigue and then physical fatigue on top of that. It was just, you know, I had to stop CrossFit for a while until I could really recover mentally and then get back into it slowly. So
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, even now, I wake up probably every 2 hours. Yeah, and probably sleep from 11 or midnight, maybe to 6. You know, waking up every 2 hours.
do you find that the night gains helps with that, or
Yeah,
does it?
yeah. The night gains, that's a game changer, man. Like,
That's awesome. That's good to hear.
helps like go to sleep faster, and then me and my girlfriend talk about this all the time. Dude, it makes you have some weird dreams.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I woke up.
It's
Don't give away the trade secrets.
No,
It's just the B6 does the weird dreams.
Like,
Yeah.
I like woke up and I was like, man, I know I'm like in some deep sleep because I am dreaming. And I was like, they're weird too.
I don't dream unless I take it.
Yeah.
If I take it, I dream. If I'm not, I don't. I didn't dream for years.
Well, that's
years.
me too. Like, if I had dreams, it was like nightmares, you know, or like flashbacks.
Right.
But like sometimes I will totally wake up laughing hysterically.
Yeah. I was talking with somebody who said who has some bad dreams from things that they've seen, and they said the night games turns those bad dreams into not so bad.
It's so true,
Like
so true.
Which is crazy to hear. You know, that somebody quit taking the night games because of the weird dreams. They're just like, I just couldn't do it. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's got a combination of magnesium and B6 is in there to help with the conversion of glutamate into glutamine, so you get the excitatory neurotransmitters out and calm down the brain. So it's something that's in there because that's what it does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, and
Trying to give the brain what it needs to shut down.
you can definitely feel, you know, the stuff that service members go through. You know, you're trained to always be, you know, in fight mode. You know, there's no flight. It's always ready to go. You know, and I think night games definitely helps calm that down a little. The hyperactivity, you know, like doesn't take it completely away, but it definitely helps dull it. So
That's good to hear.
So, Andy asked a little bit about, you know, like the advice you'd have for just telling someone that they're not in it alone. You know, like they're not alone. What would you say to somebody that's just in general dealing with adversity? Because obviously you had to overcome a shit ton of adversity. Obviously the adversity that most people are dealing with is minuscule, but probably in their world it's a big deal, you know, to them, in their perspective.
right.
What advice would you have to somebody for just overcoming adversity in general?
Yeah, so number one, I would say the same thing. Like, what you're going through, you're not alone. Like, people have gone through it, you're going through it right now, gonna go through it, you know. But also, like, no matter who you are, like, you need to tell your story. Like, everyone needs to tell their story. Everyone has a story, even if you don't think you do. Like, tell your story because it's gonna help someone else, you know. And then you just, like, you need to find a purpose, you know, like that purpose-driven life. Like, if it's taking your dog on a walk and making your dog the happiest animal ever, like,
That's a good goal.
dude, that's your purpose. Like,
It's usually a brighten up of my day.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
I know you're happy, so this is good. I'm pleasing someone today, so life's all right.
right? Like, own it, man.
I showed up
Like-
at home, so you're happy. This is great.
Like, I mean, Kyle, you're a chiropractor. Like, you make people feel better, you know? You adjust them, they're like, oh, man, I can move, you know? Like, that's got to make you happy, right?
Yeah, it does.
You find a purpose in what you do that gives other people enjoyment and fulfillment, and, man, like, that'll make your life so much better.
It's good advice. Yeah, it is. I like it.
So obviously not the only thing you've done in your life is military service. So you, going back, you did your kind of specialized TBI, PTSD clinic. You trained at the CrossFit gym in Maryland for 4 months, did you say?
Yeah, right around 4 months, I think.
So
3
now
or
at
4.
this point you're probably getting a little bit serious, you're hooked a little bit.
Yeah.
You come back to Cali after that?
Yeah.
At that point, what's next with your kind of CrossFit career?
So what's next is kind of like, I was like, I'm getting out of the Marine Corps. I was like, man, I really want to like continue CrossFit, you know, like. So the first thing I did is, you know, like when you go, and your doctors basically say, hey, like, you're not fit for duty anymore. You know, we think we're gonna like medically retire you. You wait for you go on a board, you wait for your disability. You get it back, and you're like, okay, I'm out. So first thing I did, I was like, all right, so I don't really know where I want to move. My family lives half in like Florida, half in like Michigan. I kind of like where I'm living, not really. I don't know where I want to go, so I'm going to rent this place for a little bit, figure it out. But the first thing I did was like, all right, where's a CrossFit gym? Sweet, that's like a quarter of a mile away. I'm going to go there. And then I started going, working out there. Became really good friends with the owner. He was a Marine, is a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. And we kind of bonded after that. And he kind of like asked me, he goes like, what's your goal, like in CrossFit? Like, what's your goal? And before I knew I was like kind of good at CrossFit, I was like, I really want to I want to coach. Like, I want to give back to the community that helped save my life, Like, I want to spread it to other people. So he was like, I think we have a spot for you. So I got signed up for my level 1, did all that, and he at the time, it still is, on the HQ staff. And his role got higher and higher, and it took a lot more, and he basically asked me, he was like, hey, I'm either going to walk away and the gym's going to close, or I want you to buy it. And I was like, let's do it. So I bought it, changed the name, did all that, and then decided, it's like I kind of enjoy this CrossFit stuff, I'm starting to do some stuff that I've never done before. Did a local competition, and I was like, I'm hooked. So I decided I wanted to start trying to compete. So
It's a pretty good story.
yeah. I mean, I went from the first time I tried to kick up in a handstand, I blacked out, passed out totally, with the vertigo and stuff. Couldn't barely do burpees because it made me dizzy, all that stuff. Now I honestly have a goal of making the CrossFit Games as a master when I turn 35.
Nice. Sweet.
So
Awesome.
So you like competing, you like coaching still? What one do you find more rewarding? Or is it kind of like you love both of them?
I love both. I really do. Just because coaching is awesome because I like to help people.
You found your purpose. You want to help somebody.
Exactly. Showing people that they can do stuff they never thought they could do, and instilling confidence in them that they've never had is so rewarding, and it's awesome. I have a girl at CrossFit Marquette. She had a hip replacement, and she's young. She had an injury, had a hip replacement. Couldn't squat or anything. Her squat was terrible. Man, she was doing overhead squats the other day, and I was like, look at you. And she goes, ha, ha. But then I go back to, on the other side, man, I played sports since I was 4. I played college football. And then the Marine Corps, you're competitive. War was a game. You had to win. You know what I mean? It was win or not go home type stuff, So, I've just always been competitive. And, CrossFit kind of feeds that competitive edge that I've always had. So.
Where'd you play college football?
Jacksonville University.
Okay, no idea.
Yeah. It is Division
assuming.
One
Is it?
double A,
Ooh.
but it's not like
Is that the Alabama or the Florida?
Florida.
Florida. Is there two? I think
There's there's one in Alabama.
Okay, so
That's,
there's the
but I
Florida
think
one?
that's Jacksonville State,
Oh, okay. I know.
and they're like
Rose coach down
they're
there,
only like
the one in
Division
Florida.
2.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, nice. Yeah.
You know,
Just
you know.
if anybody's keeping score at
Yeah.
home.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you do to motivate your athletes? I know that's a big thing for coaches to be able to do, and even for me, treating people is like what can motivate people to kind of want to take care of themselves. So can you draw on like your past experiences to help motivate them, or
So, well,
Jeez.
that and you have to care, because not everyone is the same. Like what motivates me is not going to motivate you. Like everyone's different. So like you have to care enough to get to know people, to know what their goals are and what drives them, and you have to know how they react. Like you might like to get slapped and yelled at.
He knows me.
Right?
Right?
Is it that obvious?
Right?
Oh, darn.
Right? And then, like you might like the, yeah, let's go, Paul, like stuff. You never know. Like
Joel likes to get cuddled.
yeah. So
Good hug before you go in there. Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
good.
you have to invest your time, in everyone. You can't be a cookie cutter coach. Those coaches, they're not successful. And people don't like coming to their classes. So
I can see that.
yeah.
Oh, that was a really good question I had. I have such a...
You
Bad.
need to start jotting stuff.
I
down.
know.
write it
I
down,
thought about it. Somebody asked.
It'll come back to you in the
Yeah.
middle of the next.
And then I'll
round of
interrupt
questions.
somebody.
Yeah.
So what's it take to be a successful gym owner?
Whew. Man, you can't just.
Should we start another episode?
You can't just love CrossFit, man. Like, I mean, speak from experience.
Yeah.
Owning a business is not just caring about like why you're running that business. It takes a lot more. Like, I would tell anybody out there, regardless if it's CrossFit, powerlifting, weightlifting, you want to start a gym, like, research just how to run a business. There's so many books out there, and you need to know them from the front to the back.
So we're gonna jump ahead.
Yeah.
What are the books? What book recommendations do you have?
Oh man. You would do that.
You
right?
brought it up. I had to.
Can we
Continue.
cut this part out?
I haven't read a book. No, I'm just kidding.
A little engine that could.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to keep trying,
Yeah.
chugging along. I have read what is it? Business 101, or how to run a business for, what is it, like dumbasses or whatever?
Oh,
Oh,
for dummies?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
dummies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I've read that. Like, there's a lot out there. Can I claim brain injury that I can't remember any?
Oh yeah.
Titles.
It's your episode, man. Should we keep rolling through those? I think
Sure.
some people inside are starting to get hungry
Yeah.
based on
Yeah.
So
the high signs coming through the door over here.
we got this homebrew to keep us filled.
Yeah.
Homebrewed
Coffee.
coffee.
This
But
coffee.
Thanks, Paul.
The homebrew coffee.
The home brewed
Yeah.
coffee.
So I remembered my question along his line with motivation. We did a kind of just a mobile podcast. We kind of just did a mobile podcast on the way down here on like athlete mental health.
Yeah.
And one of the things that came up was coaches relating to athletes and just trying to get to know them. So specifically, as a Purple Heart vet, and there are a ton of veterans who are picking up CrossFit, just trying to get a community and kind of get back into shape after they've come home, whatever. What advice do you have for coaches who are in the CrossFit community and they have a vet come in? What's your best advice and maybe a tip or a trick to get them to open up, not talk about uncomfortable stuff,
Yeah.
but just get to know them one-on-one.
So, at first, I would say just, treat them like you would any other person walking off the street, The biggest thing, especially with vets, is, like, you don't want to be, like, singled out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be treated like, at least from me or, like, my close friends, you don't want to be, like, given handouts or treated differently. You just want to be treated like everyone else, awarded the same opportunity, Treat them like anyone else. Give them a comfortable, safe environment to train at. Once they feel a part of the community, they will open up. When they open up, then that they have your trust, and you can start building that relationship, So,
I think that's an important thing. I think, as with all the kind of topics we covered with PTSD and TBI stuff, it's just such a sensitive topic, and people aren't sure how to navigate. So it's nice to hear from somebody who's been on that side of the fence, and
I just feel like it's
give
like
some advice.
It's almost like a potty word, Like you scold your kids for saying a bad word, and like as soon as someone says those like 4 letters, people are like, it's got PTSD, like, and it's not like that. Like, I feel, like, movies right now are killing us. Like, movies portray veterans with PTSD as like psychos.
Yeah.
Like, we're not psychos.
I can see a lot of it just being people not knowing how to relate.
Yeah,
It's just
totally.
Like
Not
I
wanting
don't
to
know. I
offend
haven't
anyone.
been there and don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
not
totally.
knowing.
Yeah. And I mean, we should do a movie that shows it like a good thing.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
oh, yeah.
I think one thing I've noticed too, especially with kind of the recent years, is people have just gotten into the habit of like, oh, thanks for your service.
Yeah. No, totally.
No. Truly, you guys bust your ass for us, and at least I thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Truly, from the bottom of my heart. So.
Thanks. That was one of the reasons I joined. Like, I was playing football right around, everything was going on. And I was like, you know what? Like, I would hate if this crap was coming over here. What? I'm going to go do something about it. Like, I would gladly go back today and do everything all over again just to, like, know that it would prevent any of the stuff from coming over here.
I think that's
Powerful.
yeah.
For sure. So what is something that you believe that maybe others may not?
That you are capable of things even if people tell you you are not. So,
That's a good one.
yeah.
So I guess you believe that they can do it, because others believe
Yeah,
that
if
they
you
cannot.
believe you can do it, man, like, you can do it. Like, I've been told by so many people, like, you're not good enough. Like, you'll never do this. You'll never be this. And, like, when I'm having a hard time or a bad day, like, I think about those people and I'm like, no. Prove you wrong, So...
That's cool.
You did the 3 take-home tips earlier when you asked the question. They were pretty solid.
Yes, you did.
I think I'll just reiterate those in the end, because I think the ones you had earlier
For sure.
were
Yeah.
spot on and super helpful.
What's your most influential purchase for $100 or less? It can be fitness related. It can be anything related.
I'll do 2. I'll do one fitness related.
Okay.
And then one, like, personal. So, fitness related, because everything in CrossFit is expensive.
Seems to be
We've
a
heard that
recurring
twice,
thing.
If we could get more things under $100, that would be awesome. But man, my good friend Dave Newman owns RX Smart Gear.
Okay.
And they make the best jump ropes around, right? And their jump ropes, like, are not that expensive for the quality that you get. And we all know, like, as CrossFitters, double unders are the most aggravating thing there is. So a good jump rope definitely can help out. And they're definitely under $100.
For sure.
You know, and I love mine. And I would say best purchase under $100.
That was Kelly's one of her recommendations yesterday, actually, too. It was a
Yeah,
jump
get
rope.
your own jump rope,
that's
yeah.
funny.
I mean, yeah,
RX Smart Gear ones I'll confirm. First time I used one, I was like, this
right?
is what I need. Yeah.
Dude, if you ever get a chance to talk to him, Dave Newman, he doesn't like to tell this, so I'm going to throw him under the bus. Ask him how it started.
How it started?
Yes. It is one of the best stories I've ever heard. And it will tell you what kind of guy he is.
We were
We're gonna have to reach
fortunate, we
out
were
to him.
fortunate enough to interview the guy whose father in Wisconsin invented the beaded jump rope
Oh, nice.
back in the day. So
Way back.
we've got nice connection to jump ropes
Yeah,
through this
absolutely.
thing.
Keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll introduce you guys this weekend.
Sweet.
Yeah. You guys should totally talk to him. Because I asked him his story. Me and Vanessa, we asked him his story. And he was like, what? You want to know my story? No one asked my story. And I was like, yeah, tell us. Like, how did you come up with this jump rope? Like, it's awesome. You got to talk to him. The next one. I would say, I have to look up who it's written by. But if you like to read books, or even if you don't like to read books, you should read this book. It is called The 4 Agreements. Pause for author. Don Miguel Ruiz and Janet Mills. This book changed, like, the way I thought about life. You know, and it just talks about 4 agreements that you have to make with yourself on how to, like, go throughout living your life. And that's, I mean, I think it's like $5 on Amazon. Definitely under $100.
Nice.
Sweet.
Definitely worth it.
Good deal.
2 questions in one right there. I don't need to ask them all.
Go ahead.
I can. In your area of expertise, how would you make something that is complicated simple?
You gotta Barney style everything.
I like that explanation.
Right?
I like that.
Like, we'll take, like, teaching someone, like, a new movement. Like, you're not there to make yourself sound like the most educated person on an air squat. Like, you're there to teach them how to do it. You know what I mean? Like, so you just have to, like, Barney style it.
I like it.
I like that one a
Bring
lot.
it to the level.
Yeah, like, stuff doesn't have to be so complicated.
I want to.
Sure.
You know, and
You'd be in a shit house.
3/4 of everybody doesn't understand half the words people are saying anyways. So.
That's good. So what information would you tell yourself if you were to go back 10 years, 5 years, the years you can place us, where you take us? What would you tell yourself?
You know, it's like cliche because everyone has the no regrets thing, you know? But I think I would go back, 10 years and just kind of take the mentality that I have now from the you're not good enough to you are good enough type mentality. And if I would have had that 10 years ago, man, I would probably be in the NFL right now.
There you go. There it is.
But yeah, that's what I would say. I would have started believing in myself then, instead of now.
Nice.
I like it.
Well, I don't think we can keep you from your daughter too much longer before she breaks through that glass. Do you want to come out and say hi?
Hey.
Oh, now she's all nervous.
Come here. Come here. Can you say hi? Say hi. Huh?
Outside the glass. And
Yeah.
Yep. Can you say hi? No.
No.
You just got dad. That's all that matters.
Before we finish up, do you have anything else you'd want to say? Shout outs? Where can people find you? Social media?
First of all, I would like to thank you guys, Clinically Pressed, for having me on here. And
Thanks for being on us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
and Paragon for supporting me and having me over here too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have definitely changed my life, man. Your stuff has totally helped with things.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I can't say enough about the product and how awesome it is. It's clean, it works, there's no BS.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then you guys for having me on here to help share my story and hopefully, help someone,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One person hears it and it helps them, that's enough,
Yep.
And then social media on Instagram, you can find me at Cogen Nelson, so COGENNELSON. You'll see a little bit of everything on there, mostly this little one.
You're famous.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks again, Cogen.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate
coming on. That's a wrap.
Yeah. Thank you for checking out this episode of Clinically Pressed. Go to clinicallypressed.com for full show notes and links to everything that was covered in this episode. While you're there, you have access to all of our episodes, insights, and shorts. You can find Clinically Pressed on YouTube and any podcast outlet. If you could give us a rating, thumbs up, or review on how we are doing, we would greatly appreciate it. To get more free content delivered to your inbox, sign up for the Total Athletic Therapy newsletter. You'll get direct links to all new Clinically Pressed episodes, reviews on some of the latest research in health and performance, and links to related podcasts and other items meant to help you make the complicated simple and optimize performance. Thank you for listening, and see you next episode.